Who ever heard of a lift truck derby? Probably isn't even the right name for this kind of deal, but the boys and the girls at our place had a ball with it. There were winners, maybe a few side bets.
It's quite a story, but first I ought to fill you in on the background. My name's Al Johnson. I'm with the Industrial Warehouse Company. When you get down to it, our only job is handling and storing goods and materials.
In this modern age, we make, produce, and grow a lot of stuff, but all of it is worthless unless there is some way to get it to the people who want to use it. We have trains, over-the-road freight trucks, and freight planes to haul it. But the main job is loading and unloading, lifting, stacking, unstacking. Operation Big Lift. Believe it or not, handling materials and products adds up to anywhere from 20 to 75% of the cost of running a business. This is where the lift truck has revolutionized all handling operations. It uses the principle of the unit load. In other words, it is more efficient to move many loads in one trip than one load in many trips.
That's the way we do it on Commercial Avenue.
This is an industrial and commercial strip along a railroad spur, and there's plenty of action. And this is Wilbur, the guy who works across the tracks at Acme. Watch it, Wilbur. The industrial warehouse where we work is new. The company expanded to this location, and the thing we needed most we didn't have: lift truck operators. We transferred a few men temporarily to get started, but it meant a big training program for a bunch of new boys. Here at Industrial, we use forks and a number of other attachments, depending on what we're handling. The fellows get filled in on the details of working with the various kinds of loads and equipment. But the basic story has to do with the lift truck itself. It is designed on the principle of the seesaw for kids, or for any age. On one side, you have the load carried on the forks. On the other, you have the counterweight. The closer to the pivot point you can place the load, or the farther away you can place the counterweight, the more load you can carry. A lift truck has 3-point suspension. Here, here, and here. There is only one point of suspension on the steering axle because it pivots where it is mounted to the truck. Of course, the operation of a lift truck depends on its being steered by the rear wheels. Once you are used to this, you are off to the races. Something every operator should know about is the center of gravity. The center of gravity of the truck is about here, near the rear main bearing. The load has a center of gravity, and it rises when the load is lifted. But this doesn't make two centers of gravity. The two combine in one, about here. At the factory proving grounds, I've seen them put the trucks through the tilt test. When a truck with a load high is tipped, as when running over an obstruction, it can go all the way over. The guy who works for the outfit just across the tracks does this every once in a while.
Why don't they do something about him? Boss, this is the 8th boo-boo for Wilbur. Can't we get rid of him somehow?
Don't forget, Charlie, Wilbur is my wife's brother. Help him pick it up.
On the job, lift trucks can do just about anything. But one of the most important operations is stacking. To get to the part of the warehouse where the goods are to be stacked, the driver positions the load with the upright tilted back slightly and travels with the forks low. This will avoid chances of tipping. After they get good, and only after they get good, they can start to raise it as they near the stack. If visibility is a problem, they turn around and travel in reverse. You have to pick up most loads in the middle. That ensures they'll be balanced. If a wide load is off balance or shifts, well, it's happened to Wilbur. Placing a load on a stack like this could knock it over. When a stack is leaning, it should be restacked. If the load is loose and unstable, I tell the boys not to pick it up until it is fixed. A lift truck is usually easier to steer when it is loaded than when it's empty. Even when empty, we keep the speed down. When it comes to ramps, we always keep the load on the uphill side to keep the truck under control. You have to be able to see in any situation so you won't back off a dock. Or run over obstacles, loose boards, or loose bridge plates. The bridge plate in this instance should have been approached from a diagonal, but better still, it should have been secured. Some older warehouse and factory floors are weak, and even the smallest lift truck without a load is putting a lot of weight on every square foot. Often there is dry rot in the wood, and the whole thing could collapse. It pays to look up also. Loads can snag pipes and overhead beams. However, as in driving a car, keep your eyes moving. Looking too long in one direction can have serious consequences. It was after this one that Wilbur's boss decided to send him over to our training class. The boys get used to sounding their horns in any area where there can be other traffic or pedestrians. They slow down at corners, blind or otherwise. And they take it easy on the stops. For basic safety, they get to know any truck they use. They check the nameplate themselves for facts on the truck's capacity according to various load centers, since overloading or excessive forward tilt can cause a lift truck to tip forward. They know the importance of pre-shift checks of liquid levels and inspection for leaks and tire condition, of driving techniques, of safety first. It didn't seem long before the new fellows were all quite proficient and getting better every day. But the big deal came several weeks later when we had the Derby. We laid out a course with problems and situations where it took quick decisions. Each of the guys drove the course and was timed. Like a car rally, you had to come out not too slow, but not too fast for safety either. Every move was checked out for safety. Balance of load, position of load arms. Speed and safety of handling with load low. Caution on cornering. Watching for tail end swing. Keeping eyes moving and minds on the job. We even had slick spots to look out for and inclines to make sure the operators handled their trucks properly. There were obstacles to avoid. And finally, stacking techniques were judged. You'd never guess who looked like a winner all the way, and actually was first runner-up when the judges' decisions were in. Wilbur. No kidding.
To me, it just proves that in Operation Big Lift, if you get the right message to begin with, you can't go wrong.